What happens when a quiet Filipina exchange student dares to challenge the queen of the most elite American high school? When cruel gossip, secret betrayals, and a single viral video flip the entire social hierarchy upside down, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a clash of cultures, it's a masterclass in revenge. Stay with me, because the girl everyone underestimated is about to show the world that dignity is the sharpest weapon of all. Willow Creek, Illinois looked like every postcard of small-town America, with maple trees glowing gold in October, brick storefronts lined with cheerful pumpkins, and Friday night football games that made the entire town roar. But beneath the picture-perfect lawns and pastel houses hid a hierarchy as sharp as broken glass. And at the top of that hierarchy reigned Savannah Cole. 17 years old cheer captain, daughter of the wealthiest family in 3 counties, beautiful, rich, and ruthless. Savannah didn't just rule the school, she owned it. Teachers excused her lateness, shopkeepers greeted her like visiting royalty, and every girl either wanted to be her friend or feared becoming her enemy. She had never faced a rival she couldn't crush. Not until the day a quiet Filipina named Maria Elena Santos, Ellie for short, stepped through Willow Creek High's double doors. The first bite of Midwestern autumn cut through my cardigan like ice when I pushed those doors open. The hallway smelled of pencil shavings and cinnamon gum. Heads turned, every single one. I'd been the new girl before. Manila to Cebu, Cebu to Manila again. But this felt different. My family had landed in the United States only 2 weeks earlier, chasing a dream of better hospitals, better pay, a better life. I told myself I wasn't nervous. I was observant. That's all. And then I saw her. Savannah Cole glided down the corridor in white sneakers as spotless as her smile. Blonde hair waved like a commercial. A trail of friends followed her, perfectly dressed satellites orbiting a golden sun. The crowd parted the way water splits around a boat. When Savannah looked at someone, they either lit up or shrank back. No middle ground. She noticed me. One eyebrow lifted, polite curiosity laced with a challenge. Then she kept walking. By lunch, I learned exactly who she was. Her family owned the Cole Auto empire, 3 dealerships and counting. Her uncle was the mayor. Her Instagram had more followers than our entire student body. I queued for a tray of mystery meat and headed toward an empty table. Savannah intercepted me near the soda machine, smiling with a friendliness so sweet it stung. "Oh no, that blouse is adorable," she said, tilting her latte just enough for foam to leap onto the fabric. "Oops." Gasps and giggles followed. I dabbed the stain with a napkin, looked her in the eye, and smiled. "Thanks," I said softly. Then I sat alone and finished my lunch, calm as a monk. That tiny smile unsettled her more than anger ever could. I could feel it. People mistook silence for weakness. I preferred it that way. Back in Manila, I'd been a nationally ranked debater, fluent in English and Tagalog, trained to slice through arguments with precision. I loved logic, strategy, and the quiet satisfaction of winning without raising my voice. At home, my parents, both nurses, worked double shifts at the county hospital. My job was to manage schedules, keep track of bills, and help my little brother with homework. Organization wasn't just a skill, it was survival. Within a week, I found friends who didn't orbit Savannah. Jasmine, an art geek who wore paint on her jeans like badges of honor. Omar, the robotics kid whose laughter filled entire hallways. And Rachel, a soft-spoken junior who once belonged to Savannah's inner circle but had quietly stepped away. Rachel's stories fascinated me. Savannah's favor came at a price, loyalty without question. She decided who dated whom, which parties were cool, which teachers were lenient. Parents courted her friendship because of her uncle's political clout. Rachel also hinted at cracks. Secret Savannah hid behind curated photos and a winning cheer. I listened carefully and said little, cataloging every detail. Savannah struck again during homecoming planning. I volunteered for decorations. She chaired the committee. "Maybe Ellie can fold the napkins," Savannah said loudly. "They do those little origami things in... Where are you from again? Malaysia?" "Philippines," I corrected, steady but warm. "And sure, I can fold napkins. Maybe you can teach me how to spell Philippines first." A ripple of laughter spread across the room, small but enough. Savannah's eyes hardened. That night, an anonymous account posted a rumor that my family lived on hospital charity. I traced the digital breadcrumbs easily. Savannah's careless fingerprint in the metadata of a reposted meme. I took screenshots, archived timestamps, and stored everything on a private drive. Evidence, neat and quiet. When midterm grades were posted, I topped chemistry and calculus. Savannah dropped to second place. Teachers congratulated me. Whispers traveled faster than text messages. She smiled at me in the hallway the next morning, bright as a blade. Opportunity arrived disguised as a school board email. They wanted a cultural festival to celebrate community diversity. I pitched a plan: Filipino food stalls, music, dance, and an art exhibit for every immigrant family in town. The principal loved it. 2 days later, Savannah reserved the auditorium for a fashion show on the same weekend, a deliberate clash. I didn't blink. Instead, I partnered with the Filipino Community Center and moved the festival to the Civic Plaza, 3 times bigger, city-funded, and suddenly front-page news. Local reporters interviewed me about immigration and resilience. On festival day, parole lanterns glowed against the dusk. Children danced tinikling between bamboo poles while the town mayor, Savannah's own uncle, grinned for the cameras beside me. Savannah attended, lips pressed tight. My quiet victory tasted sweeter than any public humiliation could. Weeks later, under Friday night floodlights, Savannah made her boldest move. During halftime announcements, the stadium speaker boomed, "And now a special spotlight dance for our newest classmate, Maria Elena Santos." Students laughed, assuming I'd nominated myself. It was a classic queen bee trick: invite someone to a stage they never asked for, watch them crumble. I walked onto the field. The cool air smelled of popcorn and damp grass. My heart beat a war drum, but my voice stayed calm. "Thank you," I said into the mic, meeting thousands of eyes. "Moving here has been the hardest and most beautiful change of my life. Tonight reminds me why community matters, because kindness is stronger than distance." Silence followed, then applause, rising like a wave. I handed back the mic and left the field, head high. Savannah's smirk faltered just for a heartbeat. That night, I uploaded a montage of the event: crowd cheers, my brief speech, Savannah's sour glance, to a private link shared quietly among students. By morning, it had traveled through every group chat. No caption, no accusation, just truth. Sunday evening, as frost gathered on the window, my phone buzzed with a message from Rachel. "I have something you need to see. Savannah's secret. Meet me tomorrow, after school. Don't tell anyone." I set the phone down, pulse quickening. Outside, the sky stretched black and endless. The queen bee believed she still held the crown, but the board was already set, and the next move belonged to me. Rachel waited for me behind the old gym, the place where delivery trucks unloaded cafeteria supplies, and no one bothered to look twice. Her breath came out in little clouds against the fading afternoon light. She held her phone tight, the screen glowing with a secret. "You need to see this," she whispered, checking over her shoulder even though no one was around. She tapped play. A video filled the screen. Savannah, laughing on a couch at some house party I didn't recognize. Music thumped faintly in the background, but what caught my attention was the conversation. Savannah was bragging, her voice sharp and careless, about how she'd cheated on 3 different exams by stealing answer keys from the guidance office. She even mentioned which teachers were too dumb to notice. Rachel paused the video. My cousin's friend recorded it. Savannah didn't know he was live streaming. He thought it was funny until he realized what she said. I stared at the grainy footage. "Why give this to me?" I asked. Rachel hesitated. "Because she's hurt too many people, and you won't waste it." That night I lay awake listening to the hum of the furnace. The temptation was immediate. Send the clip to the principal, the school board, every parent in town. Savannah would be stripped of her honors and her scholarships in a heartbeat. But I also understood that one careless move could backfire. If I went too fast, the queen bee would twist the story, call it fake, cry about jealousy. I needed precision. The next week I studied Savannah as if she were a debate topic. She thrived on attention and image. Her Instagram stories showed perfection: morning runs in coordinated outfits, charity work with photogenic children, study sessions with inspirational quotes. A single scandal wouldn't be enough unless it came from every direction at once. I spent evenings with my laptop and a pot of Barako coffee, mapping connections the way my father mapped hospital shifts. Who followed her? Who defended her? Who owed her favors? Jasmine and Omar helped quietly, feeding me details from robotics club and art class. Rachel acted as my inside source, recalling little slip-ups Savannah had made, old grudges she'd left behind. Piece by piece, a picture formed. I started small. Anonymous tips to the school newspaper about grade inflation and missing exam sheets. A rumor, never traced to me, that someone was selling test answers. I never mentioned Savannah's name. I didn't need to. Teachers began double-checking records, locking cabinets, watching students more closely. Savannah noticed the tension but couldn't pin it on anyone. Meanwhile, I focused on building my own reputation. I joined debate club, taking first place at the regional meet within 2 weeks. I volunteered at the hospital, helping translate for elderly Filipino patients. Every positive headline about me pushed Savannah further into the shadow she hated. The more the town admired the quiet immigrant girl, the more Savannah's perfect mask started to crack. Homecoming arrived with icy rain and a restless crowd. During the dance, Savannah tried to corner me near the punch bowl, her smile too wide. "Enjoying your American dream?" she asked, voice dripping honey and venom. I met her eyes. "Every second," I said, and walked away. Behind me, I heard her mutter something sharp enough to draw gasps from her friends. Word traveled fast. By the next morning, half the school was whispering about how Savannah had lost her cool. But I wasn't done. The video remained my trump card. I needed a moment when the truth would land like a lightning strike, undeniable and public. That moment came sooner than expected. The district announced a scholarship gala in December, an evening event where top students would give speeches before donors and local officials. Savannah was scheduled to present a showcase on academic integrity and student leadership, an irony too perfect to ignore. I reserved a seat near the front and waited. The night of the gala, the auditorium glowed with soft lights and polished wood. Parents wore evening coats. Students wore nervous smiles. When Savannah took the stage in a shimmering silver dress, the room fell silent. Her speech began smoothly, all about honesty and hard work. I felt Rachel shift beside me, phone ready. At the exact moment, Savannah declared, "Integrity is the foundation of achievement." The projector flickered. The screen behind her went black, then came alive with the shaky video of her bragging about stolen answer keys. Gasps erupted. A teacher scrambled for the controls, but not before the clip played twice. Savannah froze, microphone trembling in her hand. Someone in the back whispered, "Is that real?" And the whisper became a wave. I hadn't hacked anything. I simply persuaded the student tech team, kids Savannah had bullied for years, to schedule a test run that included the clip. They didn't ask why. They wanted their own quiet revenge. Savannah tried to speak, but the crowd was already buzzing. The principal stepped forward, face pale. "We'll address this immediately," he said, escorting her off stage. The gala continued awkwardly, but the Queen's crown had slipped beyond repair. The next morning, Willow Creek High felt electric. Phones lit up with messages, screenshots, slow-motion replays of Savannah's shock. Teachers avoided her gaze. Students who once carried her books now crossed the hall to stay out of range. By lunch, she was gone, checked out early under the excuse of family matters. But power never disappears without a fight. 2 nights later, my bedroom window rattled. A pebble hit the glass. I opened it to find Savannah standing in the cold, eyes red from either wind or tears. "We need to talk," she said. Against my better judgment, I slipped on a coat and met her by the driveway. "You think you're clever," she hissed. "You ruined everything." "I didn't make that video," I said evenly. "You did?" She stepped closer. "I know it was you who spread it." I met her glare without blinking. "Maybe, maybe not. But you bragged, you cheated. That's on you." For the first time, Savannah looked unsure of her own power. "Do you think anyone cares about you?" she snapped. "You'll always be the foreigner." "Maybe," I said. "But I'd rather be a foreigner with honesty than a hometown hero with nothing left to respect." She backed away, shivering in the wind. "This isn't over," she muttered. Then she was gone, her footsteps crunching over frost. The following week brought official consequences. Savannah was suspended pending investigation. Her college recommendation letters were under review. Rumors said her parents were furious, their dealership receiving angry calls from customers demanding accountability. The mayor uncle tried to downplay it, but even he couldn't erase a video that had already gone viral. I should have felt triumphant, but something inside me stayed quiet. Victory didn't taste the way I'd imagined. Maybe because I'd seen the fear in Savannah's eyes. The moment she realized that the world she controlled could turn on her in an instant. It wasn't joy I felt. It was clarity. Still, life at school changed overnight. The students she once ruled discovered their own voices. Clubs she ignored started new projects. Teachers who once pandered to her wealth enforced the same rules for everyone. And for the first time since arriving in America, I felt not just present but rooted. As if I belonged not because of revenge but because I had proven, silently and steadily, that respect is earned, not gifted. One snowy afternoon, I found Rachel waiting by my locker. "She's leaving," she said softly. "Her parents are transferring her to a private academy 2 towns over." I nodded. "Good for them," I said, though I wasn't sure if I meant it. Rachel studied me. "You're not happy?" "I'm finished," I answered. "That's enough." As winter deepened, the noise faded. Savannah's name still appeared in gossip, but it no longer carried weight. People had moved on to exams, holidays, the next basketball game. And I moved on too: debate tournaments, volunteer shifts, late-night study sessions with Jasmine and Omar. One evening, walking home beneath street lamps glowing like tiny moons, I thought about the strange road from Manila to Willow Creek. I had come seeking education and opportunity. I had found hostility and a challenge. But I had also found strength, patience, strategy, the ability to hold my head high when others tried to push it down. Revenge, I realized, wasn't about destroying someone. It was about reclaiming the power they tried to steal. Savannah had tried to humiliate me. In the end, she humiliated herself. I paused at the corner where snow began to fall, soft and endless. Somewhere beyond the trees, Savannah Cole was starting over, perhaps plotting, perhaps regretting, perhaps learning. I hoped she would choose learning. As for me, I turned toward home, heart steady and steps sure, ready for whatever came next. When the video exposing Claire's cruel behavior exploded across every corner of social media, the ripples reached far beyond the high school halls. Local news outlets picked up the story of the Filipina exchange student who stood up to the queen bee, and within a day, it became the top trending topic across multiple platforms. What had started as a few shaky phone recordings turned into a powerful symbol of standing up to bullies, and Marisol found herself at the center of a storm she never intended to create. The morning after the video went viral, Marisol woke to a phone that buzzed endlessly. Messages poured in from classmates she barely knew, from Filipino friends back home, and from strangers around the world who saw her as a quiet hero. Her inbox filled with words like brave, inspiring, and icon. But for every supportive message, there was another laced with jealousy, disbelief, or pure spite. Claire's loyal followers were enraged. They accused Marisol of editing the video to make their queen look bad, of seeking fame, of destroying an innocent reputation. At school, the energy was electric, almost volatile. Whispers trailed Marisol down every hallway. Groups of students parted to watch her pass. Teachers who once greeted her with polite indifference now looked at her with thinly veiled curiosity, as though she had become a living headline. Claire was conspicuously absent that day. Rumors swirled that her parents had pulled her out for a family emergency, but no one could confirm the truth. Leela, Marisol's closest ally, walked beside her like a bodyguard, shoulders squared and jaw tight. "Don't let them get to you," she whispered as they reached their first class. "They don't know what to do with someone who finally told the truth." Marisol nodded, though her stomach churned. She had wanted justice, not chaos. She had wanted Claire to understand that cruelty had consequences, but she hadn't imagined it would become an international spectacle. By lunch, the school's principal called Marisol to the office. Waiting inside were not only the principal, but also 2 guidance counselors, and, to her surprise, Claire's mother. The woman's sharp blue eyes scanned Marisol with a mixture of contempt and exhaustion. "Marisol," the principal began, choosing each word carefully. "The recent events have placed this school in a challenging position. While we support your right to speak up, the situation has escalated in ways that concern us all. Claire is struggling." Claire's mother cut in. "My daughter is being harassed, humiliated. She hasn't left her room in 2 days. Your little video ruined her life." Marisol felt the heat rise in her cheeks. "With respect, ma'am, Claire ruined her own reputation. I just told the truth." The room fell silent. The principal cleared his throat. "We are not here to assign blame, but to find a resolution. Perhaps a private meeting, a reconciliation of sorts could—" "No." Claire's mother stood abruptly. "My family will handle this privately. But mark my words, young lady, you haven't heard the last of us." She stormed out before anyone could respond. That night, Marisol scrolled through endless notifications. Among them was a message request from a major television network inviting her for an interview. Another came from a Filipino community organization in New York, offering support and calling her a role model for overseas workers' children. Yet the most surprising was a short, shaky video posted to a new anonymous account. The camera focused on a familiar bedroom door. A soft voice, Claire's, whispered, "I'm sorry." The next day, Claire returned to school. She walked in quietly, without makeup, her usual entourage missing. The cafeteria, usually her stage, felt strangely subdued. Students watched, waiting for a confrontation that never came. Instead, Claire approached Marisol's table. "Can we talk?" Claire's voice was barely audible. They stepped outside, the winter air crisp and sharp. Claire's eyes were red, her hands trembling. I went too far. I thought humiliating you would make me feel powerful, but it only made me miserable. You showed everyone who I really am, and I deserved it." Marisol studied her carefully. There was no hint of sarcasm, no hidden sneer, just a fragile girl stripped of her armor. "I didn't do it to destroy you," Marisol said softly. "I did it because people like me, immigrants, kids from overseas, we get walked on. I wanted you to understand that words and actions have weight." Claire nodded, tears welling. "I understand now. I'm sorry for everything, for the insults, the pranks, the lies. I don't expect forgiveness, but I had to say it." For a long moment, they stood in silence, the cold biting at their fingers. Marisol finally extended her hand. "Change, Claire. That's all anyone can do." Claire took her hand, gripping it tightly. Their uneasy truce spread through the school like wildfire. Some students mocked Claire for her sudden humility. Others were relieved the tension had broken. Marisol, however, felt only quiet resolve. She hadn't humiliated Claire to gain followers or fame. She'd acted to defend dignity, hers and countless others who'd felt invisible. As weeks passed, life settled. Claire began volunteering with the school's cultural club, surprising everyone with genuine effort. She partnered with Marisol to organize a charity drive for Filipino families affected by typhoons, using her social influence for something meaningful. The same media outlets that had once chased the scandal now covered their collaboration, calling it a story of unexpected friendship and redemption. One evening, during the fundraiser's closing ceremony, Marisol stood before a packed auditorium of students, parents, and community leaders. Bright lights bathed the stage as she spoke. "When I arrived in America, I was just another foreign student trying to survive. I never imagined my journey would become a headline. But this isn't a story about revenge. It's about respect. About how every person, no matter where they come from, deserves to be seen and heard. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that standing up for yourself doesn't mean tearing someone else down. It means demanding fairness and offering the chance to change." The crowd erupted in applause, a sound that echoed deep in Marisol's chest. She spotted Claire in the front row, clapping with a small, grateful smile. Later that night, as the auditorium emptied and the last echoes faded, Marisol lingered by the stage. Lila joined her, nudging her shoulder playfully. "From bullied exchange student to local legend," she teased. "Not bad for a girl from Cebu." Marisol laughed, the sound light and free. I didn't come here to be a legend. I came here to learn, to prove to myself, and maybe to a few others, that we belong anywhere our dreams take us. Months later, when Marisol boarded her flight back to the Philippines, she carried more than memories of a year abroad. She carried the quiet confidence of someone who had faced cruelty and answered it not with silence, but with truth. Her story would be retold in classrooms, Filipino community gatherings, and countless online spaces as a testament to resilience and dignity. And somewhere in America, a once popular girl named Claire continued to grow, to learn, and to use her voice for good, forever marked by the Filipina who refused to be invisible. Because in the end, true revenge was never about humiliation. It was about transformation, and that was the sweetest justice of all.